Hello my friends and welcome back to another flower letter. This is flower letter number 8. Just want to let you guys know that I am feeling 100% better now. Like I told you guys, I had been sick for a couple of weeks. I got down with the COVID and then I had to go and I had to have a tooth cut out, and so it's been a rough couple of weeks, guys, and I know I'm behind on a couple of my flower letters like I told you guys in my last one, but I am hoping to catch these up. You're probably going to see a couple of these posted a little sooner than I have been, just so we can get caught up on it. I'm really excited to get into the story. I didn't want to open them up while I was sick. I really wanted to, but I didn't want to open them up and not show you guys what was in the letters, so I put them up on my shelf and I am just now getting to them. So let's open this one up and let's see what this one is from. The last letter we got was from Mr. Hickman, and he was talking about his travels, and we went over the map, which I hope I got right. I was a little confused about which way I was supposed to go. We'll figure it out together as we go. But let's open this up and let's see who this is from. Ooh, this is going to be on pretty pink paper. Alright, so here's our business card. I'm going to go ahead and show it to you guys because this one looks super cute. And I love her dress. And she's looking at herself in the mirror. This looks like a new home sewing machine company. So this must be one of the old sewing machines that used to have like the cover on it. And they look so good. I love them. And you can see the little pedestal right here, if you guys can kind of see that right there. I love this. Let's see what the back says. New home sewing machine, the finest and best made machine in the world. Warranted for 5 years. Needles, oils, and attachments for all machines. Constantly on hand. Send for catalog for our 5-cent music. Wow. I actually really love this one, and I might actually put this one up on my shelf. Or maybe just prop it up somewhere just for decoration, because I really love this one. Alright, so looks like we have the letter. And I'm going to say that this looks like an extra, and I'm going to go ahead and just tell you that the two women that they're showing here on the front, I absolutely love their outfits. I can't wait to see what this is. This is also an extra, and it says an acrobat, so this looks super cool. So I can't wait to see what that is. And, ooh, we have a recipe, guys. So this is called the Honey Whole Wheat Bread. By Miss Bianca Canuto, I think is how you say her last name. And then I'm going to try to hold it up, maybe so you guys can kind of see the ingredients here in case you guys might want to write it down, or if you're just curious about it. And then here's the instructions. I'm going to hold it up. Maybe you guys can pause it or maybe read it. Like I said, if you guys want to make it. The last thing I made, which was the tarts that they had in the last letter that we did previously, I really loved them. Now, I've never made bread before. I don't even think I have a bread pan, but this does sound like something that I would love, because I do love homemade bread. My mom makes it sometimes, and I absolutely love it. So I might give it to her and see if she might make it. She's got the bread pan and everything like that. So let's get to the letter. Looks like we're just going to have 2 pages. And it looks like it is going to be to Katie this time. It is not going to be to Mr. Hickman. So maybe the next letter might be to Mr. Hickman. I'm hoping to see Lily write to Mr. Hickman and find out more about that relationship. But let's jump into this and see what she has to say to Katie. June 2nd, 1884. My darling Katie, I know it's been a few weeks since my last letter, but I have been ever so busy outfitting Miss Lottie's ladies in the finest of the Parisian Rococo. You wouldn't believe how many flowers I've made by hand since beginning this project. I wanted to show you a few of my designs because while I'm working tirelessly with the Demel girls to get everything down in time, I know you appreciate just how much fun I'm having despite the deadlines. The various ribbons, silk flowers, and other notions for Rococo fashions rival even our own obsession with them today. The cynical nation of fashion always fascinates me. I remember Madame Lovelace always talking about wanting to get her hands on the vaudeville customary at Tony Pastor's Opera House on the Bowery, and then in Germania Theater. I believe I would thoroughly relish what I'm doing here. Although even Miss Lottie, with her inexhaustible income, might hesitate at Madame Lovelace prices. Speaking of which, you wouldn't believe it if I told you the expense Miss Lonnie has gone for this variety show. She says if she hopes to keep her ladies out of the more unsavory occupations in Frisco, she can't afford to have Le Petit Chateau give the public anything less than the very best. She sent out to Lake City, Chicago, and even New York for the finest taffettes, silks, velvets, laces, ribbons that you can imagine. They even have some very fine cloth mills here in the neighboring city of Beaver that we purchased from. Did you know that the Mormons have their own sericulture industry? Many of them raise the silkworms in their own homes. Can you imagine? But Miss Lottie loves to support the local economy, especially when women are involved. We get all our own silk ribbons from a mill at the mouth of City Creek Canyon in Salt Lake City. It costs a bit more than foreign silk, but thankfully Miss Lottie can afford it. She's an heiress, you know. Her father left the South in '49 to seek his future in California. He became one of the richest men there by the late 50s. She inherited everything when he died. In all honesty, such a fortune couldn't have been to a better woman. Miss Lottie is always looking for a lost soul to save. She actually greets each train that rolls into Frisco to get the most valuable young girls that come looking for work before they end up at the brothels. If they have a special skill Miss Lottie can use, she takes them in. Just last week, a lovely young Italian girl by the name of Bianca Canuto came under the protection of Miss Lottie. She doesn't sing or dance or perform in any way, but she's an excellent baker. Oh, and her pies. And her bread is divine. She even shared her honey wheat recipe with me, which I've included here. You simply must try it, dearest. Thankfully, a baker was precisely what Miss Lottie's kitchen staff needed. She services dinner at her shows, you know, and Miss Canuto looked quite desperate when she first arrived, so it has all worked out for the best. Lottie's ladies perform multiple times a night, singing, dancing, and performing many plays or scenes, acrobats, and such. There's a prime ballerina from Russia whose father and only known parent died recently, 2 China girls who perform actual magic, and even a comical girl who tells the silliest stories I've ever heard. Miss Lottie also employs the entire waitress staff to serve the meals. Oh, Katie, the most wonderful thing happened to me the other day. I was delivering yet another finest garment to Miss Lottie when she begged me to follow her to her private parlor. She often entertains important guests there before and after her ladies perform. On this night, she was entertaining a Chinese noblewoman by the name of Madame Ling Shaling and her 2 daughters. Miss Lottie introduced me and showed Miss Madame Shaling the finer details of the dress I just delivered. Madame doesn't speak English, or at least pretends not to, and her daughters told me I was just the dressmaker they were looking for. I'm sad to say, Madame Shaling owns the majority of the various opium dens here in Frisco. She was exiled from China because of her leadership in a rebellion during the Second Opium War a few decades ago, and the dens are where she's made most of her fortune. You truly meet the most interesting people out here. Her hope in hiring me, you see, is to see her daughters, who look as white as the next Anglo-American due to their father's heritage, rise to more respectable circles in society. She wishes for them to marry well and is therefore sending them to England to attend the season there under the guise of orphaned heiresses. Madame Shang's daughters told me she's settled 100,000 pounds upon each of them in order to attract suitable husbands for them. She wishes for me to create their wardrobe for their season aboard. Opium dens or no, my heart softened toward her when I saw the lengths she was willing to go to in order to make a better life for her daughters. She would rather never see them again than condemn to a life she has led. You and I both know how difficult it can be to be an immigrant in America. While meeting with Madame Cheyne, all I could think of was Mama and all the sacrifices and injustices she had to suffer for being Irish, and all she had was an accent to turn people's prejudice against her. You can imagine how thankful I was when her daughters told me Madame Cheyne was prepared to pay me enough to not only settle my debt to Mr. Gamut once and for all, but to bring you out to Frisco by the end of the summer. Furthermore, if my calculations are correct, I should have enough left over to open a dress shop. That will provide an income for us until we can leave here. I was thinking we might go to California or somewhere on the coast. Mr. Hickman told me that the climate there is perfect for someone with your condition. Well, I agreed to do the work, and I'm once again loving the opportunity to create without any restraints regarding cost of materials. Who would have thought I'd find even more creative freedom out west than I had in Madame Lovelace's boutique. Madame Cheyne will settle for nothing less than the best for her daughters. I've asked Esther and Abigail DeMille to be my assistants. Their parents have agreed to continue to let me board for free until the project is complete. They say the experience their daughters would gain during the construction of not just one, but two of the finest wardrobes I've ever had the pleasure of creating is more than enough compensation. Also, somehow in this place of hellish greed and misery, I found myself surrounded by saints and angels. So now I'm begging you, Katie, please go to Madame Lovelace as soon as you can and ask her for any of the latest fashion plates from London and Paris she can spare. Or send Dr. Frisbee if you're not able. Then send the plates along to me as soon as possible. This is how I'm going to save you, my Katie. This is how I'm going to create a better life for us both. Your loving and devoted sister, Lily Clara. And once again, we have a beautiful picture here. Then at the bottom here, it says to learn more about the Pony Pastor, the Utah experience, and opium dens and opium wars of the 19th century. Visit the Learn page at theflowerletter.com to learn how to create your own silk flowers like the ones Lily Clara have created for Miss Lottie's Ladies Rococo costumes. Visit the tutorial page under the extended learning, also found on their website. So if you guys are curious about that and you want to check out more, and actually it really is a good page, you actually do find out more into the story and more kind of about what was going on, and you know, stuff like it's kind of real history that kind of based the letter. So it really is kind of worth it if you guys are curious and you want to go and check. Okay, so that was the letter, guys. Super excited about this one. I am super excited to hear about her whole dressmaking and how she's going to get Katie out there. And I do really love that things are going well for her. But do keep in mind that Mr. Gambit is still out there and he's been keeping his eye on her. So let's not forget about him. He might be in the background, but I do feel like he's going to have some trouble later on. So let's go ahead and let's open this. This says The Acrobat. And this was pretty curious. I love this. This is cute. Let's see. It's pretty big. So I'm going to kind of get it in here so you guys can see it up close and see the sketching. It's really, really beautiful. I love that in the center. It's really beautiful. And of course this again. It's called The Acrobat, and it says, I'm going to try to read some of it for you. Adeline's costume is made with a detachable skirt. We couldn't expect her to do all her tricks with a pannier strapped to her, now could we? After she's lowered into the view on the ring, she detaches her skirt and is fluttered to the ground. The ribbons create a lovely spectacle as it falls. I made her a loose pair of trousers to wear underneath and cover them with as many silk flowers One can hardly tell they aren't silk. The dear said she never felt so pretty in all her life. It felt wonderful to do that for her after all the poor creature has been through. Then up here at the top, it's just describing some of the performers and kind of like where they're performing at, who's doing what. Miss Maybeth is Miss Lottie's commercial act and quintessential Southern belle, if ever we've met one. Apparently, her nurse, Naomi, is an old friend of Miss Lottie's. After 6 months, Maybeth was preparing to be married and one of the most sought-after bachelors in Georgia, but despite shamelessly chasing him 4.5 years, she wanted to be certain if the gentleman was marrying her for love or just her and not for the love of money. After confiding in Naomi, the nurse told Maybeth to head west and find Miss Lottie. She said if the boy really loved her, he'd come after her. If he was just after her money, at least she wouldn't end up as brokenhearted as her mama once was. Maybeth's father only married her for her money. So far, the fellow hasn't followed her, but Maybeth doesn't seem to be taking it too hard. Then again, perhaps she is, and her way of nursing a broken heart is through keen wit and special sense of humor I've ever encountered, truly. I have poked her more times than I can count during fittings simply because I couldn't stop laughing. Then over here, it says, this silly costume was entirely Maybeth's idea, stuffed bird's nest and all. She says she wanted the audience laughing the moment she walked on stage. I told her she'd be lucky if she made it on the stage at all with the cage around her legs. She didn't care. She said if she did trip, it would only help her act. So, and then it says the comic down here. So that's actually really cute. She's just kind of describing some of the girls and the costumes. So that's really cool. Oh, and then the back of it here, we have the Chinese twins, I believe she said is what these were. It's called the Ancient Magic Act. And they are really pretty. I love their dresses. And I love their fans that they have, and I love these long sleeves here. I love that. Let's see if we can read a little bit about them. It says, Min and I, Keong, are sisters and made up Miss Lottie's only magic act. They learned ancient magic tricks from their father. One was who was once a sought-after entertainer among the aristocratic families in China. He came to America after falling in love with the only daughter of one of China's most powerful families. The two fled to Europe to escape her father's wrath, but soon found it wasn't far enough. When Mr. and Mrs. Keong arrived in America, Mr. Keong joined a traveling circus, but when that couldn't grant him and his growing family the money hoped for, the assassin hired by Mrs. Keong's father caught up to them 2 years ago when the circus visited Chicago. They killed Mr. Keong for his crime, and Mrs. Keong was bringing shame on her family. Their daughters, Ming and I, were left orphans. Thankfully, Miss Lottie happened to be in Chicago visiting the circus when it happened. She talked the circus director into handing the girls over to her care, and they'd been under her protection here in Frisco ever since. Okay, so over here it says, I'm especially proud of this look, as it was extremely difficult to achieve. First, I gathered all the old corsets I could find around Miss Lottie's place and removed all the boning. Then I used the boning to create those horizontal sleeves along Ming's and I's skirts. I wanted the tops of their costumes to reflect the beautiful kimonos of their homeland, with the robe-like wrapping at the bodice and draping sleeves and belted waist, but I also wanted to stay true to Miss Lottie's Rococo theme. To do that, I made sure Ming's and I's skirts fanned out to the same wide-hipped way the other girls did when wearing the panniers I designed. Then at the bottom it says, I'm very proud of these two and all of Miss Lottie's ladies, really. We've had plenty of time to get to know each other during fittings. I've told them all about you and they can't wait to meet you, Katie. There's a particular sense of sisterhood here at La Petite Chateau. We take care of each other. That's not something I thought I would find here in Frisco. So many of these girls have won their way into my heart and have become such dears to me. I know you'll love them as I do when you come. That's really sweet. And again, I do really, really love the costumes in this. And I love finding out more about her costuming as well. I love listening to her talk about it. Here's another little letter, guys. This is the silk flower tutorial. Okay. So let's open this up. So this says materials you will need. And I'm kind of going to hold this up so maybe you guys can read this or pause it or whatever you want for the material. And then here is the steps if you guys kind of want to, again, pause it or read it for yourselves. But this looks really, really cool. I'm assuming this is what it is on the back. So these might be the little petal things here. I will have to see if I can find the tutorial on it to maybe kind of see kind of how this is going to be, because if I cut it, you're kind of going to cut the instructions with it. So maybe on a separate piece of paper I might write some of the instructions down, that way if I do have to like cut the back of this for some reason, we'll see. It says cut out the petal template on the back of this page. Step 2, cut 8 of each petals from both fabrics. You should have 16 petals in each size. If you wish to make a smaller flower, cut out fewer petals. Light candle and run the flame over the edge of the petal so the petal curls inward into the petal shape. The edges should only melt, not burn. Step 4, once the petals are curled, thread needles with the matching thread. Roll one of the smallest satin petals and tack the thread so it holds the rolled shape. Wrap one of the smallest petals around rolled petal and tuck down. Repeat step 5 over again, alternating between a organza and satin petal. When the smallest petals are all tucked down, begin adding the next shape up. Repeat step 6, repeat step 7. Optional, when flower is completely formed, attach decorative button on or brooch into the center of the flower. Okay, I see what it's saying. When the flower is complete, it can be attached to clothing, headbands, pillows, etc. We can't wait to see what you create. And then you can go on to Flower Letter and post it. So okay, so that sounds really cool. I might try at some point, maybe try to get that. They do have a lot of really, really cool projects, and that's what I really love about them, is that they always have like really neat stuff, really neat projects for everybody. And like I said, I mean, I've never done something like this, and I have never embroidered either, and I am still going to use that embroidery pattern at some point. I actually wish I had it while I was sick, because I would have loved to have sat down and just done that by hand. Here is this lovely picture, and this would look great framed. And then this is what it says at the bottom, if you guys can see that. I don't know if my camera is going to focus on it because it's so light. It says Revue de la Mode. I can't really read what, I know it says 1884 over here. It doesn't really give names to the ladies or anything. Oh, that's really pretty. I love her blue dress. This says the original 1884 fashion plate. So this is the plates, I guess, that she was asking about. Maybe it's giving you like an example of the fashion at that time. I'll have to Google that and look more into that and see what that is. But I love this style. This is really, really pretty. I am not good enough in my sewing skill to make something like that, but I wish I was. Maybe with more practice I might be able to do that. But that is our flower letter. I really, really love this one. I hope you guys loved it. Let me know what you think about the projects and about the bread. I hope somebody out there can make it. If you guys do, let me know. Like I said, if I do happen to get the bread pan and stuff like that, I might try to make it at some point. That's not something that I have ever made before. But like I said, I like trying new things, and that's what these flower letters are all about, is to give you new things that you have never done before to try, and I love a challenge. So, but you guys do let me know. And I will see you guys back here in my next flower letter very, very soon. Bye!